So good morning, everybody. I wanted to welcome you to the webinar. This is Andy Van Ostrom, and to all of the above, I just wanted to thank you for choosing to spend your time with us this morning. I'm here to introduce Derek Roberti, who is our VP of Tech for the North American market for Cognigy. I've personally worked with Derek directly and indirectly for almost 10 years now. So Derek, thanks for joining us and take it away.
So many of you on this call are already part of Cognigy's partner network. But for those who are new, let's do a quick recap of what Cognigy is. So fundamentally, Cognigy AI is a platform for building conversational interfaces to enterprise systems. Cognigy is typically used to bring efficiency to customer support, automation to business processes, and engagement in marketing channels. Cognigy's broad toolset enables enterprises to connect to their users on any conversational channel, including chatbots, virtual assistants, or phones. So Cognigy connects to any conversational channel and provides many out-of-the-box features. And we're designed with a pluggable architecture that's really built for integrations. If you want to learn more about Cognigy and how to partner with us, stay tuned for Andy's presentation that closes out the webinar. So looking back, 2018 was a big year for conversational AI with platform advances, community events, and new products. Our focus today is on designing conversations, and we'll start by taking a look back at our 2018 toolkit. So in 2018, text and messenger style interactions were still state of the art. We built conversational interactions with a workbox that included text, buttons, lists, rich cards, carousels, and attachments. And on Messenger, we see a variety of these visual components used all the time, but we see them less commonly in other chat interfaces on websites, for example. So these visual components are great tools, but do they inspire our users? That's what we want to talk about today. Now, there's good stats in the market that chatbot adoption is increasing and it can improve conversion rates. And some of these stats come from fortune tellers and others come from specific success stories. But we also see that many, if not most bots deployed are done so as campaigns or short-lived projects rather than being integral to how businesses operate. We also see many, if not most bots are primarily informational, such as FAQs. And the best bot stories around conversion are often bots that tend to be simple data capture scenarios. So, how can we design conversations to make them more essential to businesses and more engaging to visitors? Well, this question has many answers, and in 2019, we see three trends. First is we'll see new experiences in and out of the chat box. We'll leverage existing systems of record, and we'll empower an expanded number of roles. Let's take that one by one. So, first, interactions will become more usable and engaging by moving in and out of the conversational interface. We need to truly assist users by offering multiple modes of interaction that provide the best user interface in the moment. And by providing different modes of interaction at different parts of a use case, we can grow from a primarily informational experience to task-based experiences where we actually solve a problem for a user. Second, conversational UIs will make greater use of existing content and functionality in systems of record, like Andy mentioned. Data in these systems will be viewed as tools in a designer's toolkit that are integrated into the conversational design process. And lastly, we'll have design tools that'll be available to a broader number of roles. This will increase efficiency and embed best practices in the creation of conversational experiences. So to recap, we'll see new experiences in and out of the chat box. We'll leverage existing systems of record, and we'll empower an expanded number of roles. So let's describe what it means to move in and out of the conversational interface and why that's actually a good idea. But to start, why are we anchored on the chat box? When designing conversational experiences, we tend to think of activities that take place entirely in a chat box, and we do this for several reasons. First, the conversational footprint in some UIs like Facebook Messenger and Amazon Echo have just one place for conversations to live. The conversation is the anchor and the complete experience. Second, when conversational inputs are available on websites or mobile apps, we're competing for real estate. So staying hidden away in a chat bubble lets us develop conversational experiences without collaborating with our web or app designers. This frees us to work unencumbered, but it also traps us inside that box. Third is human-to-human chat. It's typically tied to a messaging app like iMessage or Slack. At this point in time, working inside a box is where our intuition takes us. Next, the banner conversational technology, NLP, and the most attention-grabbing implementation, the Amazon Echo, they're all about processing natural language inputs, either spoken into a microphone or typed into a chat box. And lastly, most tooling to create automated conversations focuses on chatbot or smart speaker implementation. And it's for all these reasons that the conversational interface is our anchor. But when does this start to limit us? Well, the chat box limits us when we need to complete end-to-end processes where data capture exceeds just a few questions. A traditional web form with autocomplete is just easier and faster solution. The chat box limits us when interactions exceed the length of the chat window. We have no model for pinning chat bubbles, so we just have to scroll up and down looking for important content. And it limits us when interactions require the user to view and analyze more information than fits in the chat box. So completing a support walkthrough or evaluating different product attributes, it's just hard to do when you're stuck in a small window. How does this get better in 2019? Well, while chatbot interactions still dominate, we'll open up to having chats that assist a user interaction without entirely encompassing it. We'll let users interact in the modality of choice at each step in the interaction. This means we expand our ability to design end-to-end processes with a conversational interface, but without sacrificing usability. So I'll show you a demo that kind of illustrates this point. And to do so, let me take a second to set up my desktop. All right, thanks for your patience. So first off, I want to show kind of the most boring traditional chat. So I'll just go to this chat box. I'll start the interaction and say I'm interested in travel insurance. And I'll say, no problem, enter your phone number here and we'll have an agent call you, usually within 2 hours. So that's a traditional experience, and we've all seen and been disappointed with these kinds of interactions. And not only is this both uninspiring and unhelpful for a user, nothing's being accomplished on the user's behalf other than the promise of a delay. So let's look at a new approach. So first off, when I come to this window, I'm actually interacting with a hero image rather than having a chat bubble on the side of the screen. So I'll start the interaction. The chatbot says, hey, I'm Suri, and I'll go ahead and introduce myself as well. I'll tell her I'm Derek. She's going to ask what I want today. And I'll say I'm traveling to Germany next week and I might need travel insurance. She guesses, am I going to Berlin? Actually, I'm not. I'm going to be going to Munich for business. Now, everything you've seen so far, it looks like a traditional chat experience. It's kind of maybe more visually interesting, but the key here is that it's taking place inside and along with a hero image experience. Now, she's asking if I'd like to learn more about the travel insurance offering, and I'll say sure. So what you see here is now that Suri knows that I want to get travel insurance, suddenly I can be presented with marketing information that's relevant to me. And what I call this is having a broader canvas for presenting information. We're still in a conversational interface, but we're able to see more information and get more inspired by what's going on. So she wants to know what I want to know more about. And first thing I want to find out is what's actually covered with the insurance. Here again, I'm going to get some more visual experience. Normally in a chatbot interaction like with Facebook Messenger, you might see these tiles available in a carousel format, but here I'm able to see them all at once. And I can either type my questions about these, or I can just click on these tiles and get more information about delayed baggage or how they handle overseas emergencies. And I'm probably going to want to know also what regions are going to be covered. So I'll ask about that because I want to make sure Germany works. I get a nice little map and it's going to say, yes, Germany is covered as well. So let's get down to business. I'm sold that this could be valuable to me. So I want to get a quote. And I'll run through this quick calculation. First, I want to say what's my departure date. And I want to leave on Friday. Now, Siri knows that I'm not logged into the site yet, so she's assuming I don't have an account. So I actually need to go through some account setup before I can complete this quote process. All right, just confirming my name and some details. And lastly, I'll give her my email address. So if you think about what's going on here is that I have that larger canvas I mentioned. I've shown off that I can both talk through the conversational interface, and I can also click in other parts of the web page and the UI. The other thing to note is that we're engaging the user in an end-to-end process here. If we're not providing value to users, bots are just going to be a novelty or a nuisance. We're really engaging them and we're pulling them through the funnel. Now, what Siri's done is she sent a confirmation code to my email. So let me just enter that confirmation code. There we go. Now we can continue. And I'll just answer some questions here. I am traveling to Germany. And based on what Siri knows about me so far, she's going to give me some options. I could either take the Nomad option or the Explorer option. And I'm thinking since I get a discount on the Nomad option, I'll go ahead and take that. She says, do we have a deal? I'll say yes. All right, so now we're all done. So you see that this is a bigger experience than just the chat box. And I kind of want to reiterate some of the themes of what we've seen. So first off, starting off the interaction in more of a hero image experience, having a larger canvas for presenting information, either marketing information or data about the travel insurance. We can both talk and click. We're used to doing that in a chat box, but now we can click in other parts of the interface as well. We're engaging an end-to-end process, and so we're engaging the user as they move through the funnel so that our quote process can be more effective. So that's our first example. So an important ingredient of what we just saw, it's not just the conversational aspects, it's the content and the feature set that make the interaction useful, and that's what I want to talk about now. So if you look at common conversational design instruments, the focus is on use cases, happy paths, bot personality, etc. And we have a tough problem to crack. We have to have a good conversation with the computer, and the focus so far has really been on making that conversation act and feel useful. But it's less common to think about conversational design from a reuse perspective. What proven content and functionality exists in the enterprise that we can leverage in conversation and expose to users? Our orientation should be able to create valuable experiences for our users. And this value already exists in content management systems, marketing systems, product information systems, commerce systems, etc. We should view these as key ingredients that shape your conversational roadmap. And I'll give you a quick example of what that can look like as well. All right, so what you should see here is actually a content management system. In this case, we're using Sitecore, but this could really be any content management system you might use. Right now, this is for a fictional coffee shop, and we got a number of products in this coffee shop. And here we have a product image for a nice coffee pot and the product name. And all of this has gone through the content management process. So it's been entered, it's gone through workflows, it's been published and made available to all digital channels. And the conversational input is going to be one of those. So I'll go into Cognigy now. And what I want to show is a basic interaction that makes use of this existing content. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to welcome people to the coffee shop and ask if they'd want to see our specials for the month. And if they say yes, and what I'm going to do is a few things. First, I'll add an action here. And I'm going to pull in this user's record before I do anything else. I'm going to find the contact in Salesforce. But then I want to retrieve those specials from Sitecore. So I'm going to go ahead, use my get specials action. And lastly, I need to display these specials. So I have a few choices here. can either show them in a carousel or show them in a list. I'll go ahead and show them in a list. Okay. Save that. And now let's take a look at what that could look like in an actual interaction. So I might say, what's going on this month? And what you'll see, it's going to first confirm that I'm interested in specials rather than events. And then it's going to retrieve those specials from Sitecore and render them here in the UI. And again, I chose a list format, maybe a carousel format makes more sense, or maybe this is happening in a broader web experience and I have even more presentation options that way. All right, so our last point is that to create experiences like we've seen, will empower a broader range of roles in the enterprise. And that's not exactly happening today. So current conversational tools range from primarily code-based tools with maybe a little UI to primarily UI-based tools with a little bit of code. Now, the primarily code tools enable a developer to build whatever experience they like, but it also means that they're a bottleneck in the ongoing development of conversational projects. If a non-technical user wants to change text or logic or presentation, this falls on the developer's shoulders. Now, by contrast, the UI-only tools enable basic users to create bots that are primarily informational, but they lack the depth and complexity that's possible in code-only solutions. So in 2019, we need to empower users across the entire spectrum. So we'll enable developers to create code-based capabilities that communicate with enterprise systems. We'll enable power users to create complex conversations with minimal JavaScript as needed. And we'll enable those basic users to make full use of the work performed by developers and power users to create conversations that are simple to build, but are deep in their capabilities. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my conversational process that I was showing and walk through what this tool actually is. So this is our process editor, and it's that basic editor for a simple business user. Anywhere you see a plus here in the process editor, I'm able to add a component. I can add a message, for example, that just welcomes someone to the interaction. I can do things like ask questions. Just take a look at this one here. As I've entered the question, I can choose different kinds of questions like text or yes or no questions. And I can pre-populate answers that the user can choose from. I can also do basic branching, and I can insert those actions like we already saw. But take, for example, this get specials action. Where does this actually come from? Well, the next level of user is our power user. And what the power user uses is not the process editor necessarily, but they'll use what we call the flow editor. And the flow editor is a more rich interface that lets you do a lot more. We have a lot of different kinds of nodes you can add to your conversational logic. But here it's actually kind of simple. It's just a single node interaction for get specials. We're using an HTTP request node. And what it's doing is it's using the endpoint for Sitecore. We're going through the path in the Sitecore content tree and specifying that we want to get the children within that path. Those are the specials. And we're storing that in the Sitecore context store. So if I were able to see what that actually looks like, first I'll just say hi. And that's triggering the flow. You see the green line light up. And then in memory, we have a context object. And that context object has retrieved the data from Sitecore. And we have the Sitecore item ID, the item name, the item path for all of those results that we rendered in the list that we saw in the last demo. Now, if you're not using Sitecore, don't get too tripped up on it. This is just an example, but this could be any system that you can communicate through a REST endpoint. So that's what the power user might do. But what does the developer do? Well, the developer can build integrations using the Cognigy integration framework that lets them build custom modules. So in this case, I'm a power user. I kind of know what I'm doing, so I was able to create a HTTP request node. But if I didn't want to deal with the details of how to do that, I can use a custom module. In this case, I have a Sitecore module, so I could just add a Sitecore node to the tree. And when I open this up, I have those same capabilities. I can specify the path in the content tree, whether or not to get the children. I can specify which data template I want. And again, that's going to be pulled back and stored in the Sitecore context store. That's kind of an end-to-end example of those different roles and how they might find a place in Cognigy. All right, so here we go. So I want to recap here. So what I've showed here is that 2019 is going to bring new experiences in and out of the chat box that leverage existing systems of record and empower an expanded number of roles. And Cognigy is already built to support these trends. So we already enable multimodal, in-the-moment, task-based interactions with our UI framework. We let you design useful conversations leveraging systems of record with our integration framework. And we enable users in multiple roles from the developer to the power user to the business user.